Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here, and have I got some important information to share with you, specifically in regards to a DHS, Department of Homeland Security chief, who has issued a dire warning, if you will, to the American people, and one in which I believe you specifically need to hear, and this one's in regards to terrorism. Now check out this report from www.thehill.com titled DHS Chief. If you knew what I knew about terror, you'd never leave the house. Now, the report goes on to detail that Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly on Friday said that the terrorist threat is worse than most people realize, saying that some people would, quote, never leave the house if they knew the truth. Now, he went on to say that he was telling Fox host Steve Doocy on the way in that if he knew what I knew about terrorism, he'd never leave the house in the morning. He went on to say that there were 4 specific major terrorist attacks in the last week: England, Egypt, Philippines, and Indonesia, generally by the same groups. So here we have John Kelly issuing a major, massive warning saying, hey, Fox News and Friends or Steve Doocy, if you really knew what I knew about terrorism, you would not leave your house in the morning. That's a pretty significant terrorist threat. And here's what adds to the problem. We have people in politics, people in the mainstream media who refuse to label Islamic terrorism what it is. They will drop the word ISIS, they will drop the word Islamic, they will drop the word Muslim altogether, and they refuse to put it up in any way, shape, or form and just call it terrorism. Well, that is part of the reason that the terrorism is continuing to rise and thrive. So much so that we've had international leaders come out this week alone saying, well, terrorism is the new norm. You just have to get used to it. Well, let me say something about that. I will continue to call it what it is, whatever the kind of extremist it is. If it's Islamic extremism, let's call that. If it's some other religious extremism, let's call it that, or whatever the case may be. But it needs to be labeled as such because that is what it is. Now, here's the other thing that I find that's kind of pushing that agenda. So we have women feminist groups who claim to be these women-loving, freedom-pushing women, when in reality, they're pushing suppression of women by showing images of women in burqas and hijabs and just being covered head to toe, saying this is what freedom looks like. No, that is what bondage looks like. We have more and more ads coming on the TV promoting the covering and only the eye seeing of women, promoting it like it's something to be paraded, like Sharia law that believes in stoning women for particular crimes is okay to proselytize all across the internet. No, it isn't. That's suppression of women. That is bondage of women. And I'm not for bondage of any sort, of any type of bondage of women, of bondage of men, or anything of that nature. But these are the kinds of things we're seeing on the screen on a daily basis. In television ads, I saw it in a Gap ad, and multiple others are pushing this bondage of women, if you will, because that's exactly what it represents. Look, if someone wants to wear, you know, a burqa, a hijab, I don't care. Great, good for you. But don't go push that ideology on other people, or don't go and say it doesn't represent bondage when they have burqa burning parties in other countries because of what it represents. Now, that's just my 2 cents, but all back to the warning given there by the Secretary of HSS Secretary there. And John Kerry is telling us, look, there is a lot more Islamic terror than people realize. And I believe it's only going to get worse unless something is done to stop it. We need to put up our wall on the border, put that protection in place, have the right vetting in order, the right policies. If people want to come into America, that's amazing. I'm all for that. But let's do it the legal way. Let's do it the right way. Let's not allow a bunch of criminals to bring in crime into our country and ISIS members to come and blow things up in our country here. Now, we've seen what's happened in Europe as a result of mass immigration. We've seen what happened in Sweden as a result of mass immigration. We have rape, particularly on the rise. Then we have the loony left, if you will, sit there saying it's okay if we're raped because that's what their culture believes in. I mean, what are these people smoking? I mean, really, that's a bit much. Now, we know biblically speaking that in the latter days, the Bible says that there will be Christian persecution. That's exactly what we see. That there will be wars and tensions and rumors of wars. And that's exactly what we see. So everything is coming to fruition. But with that, that doesn't mean that you give up and do nothing. Now is the time to stand against it and stand in the information war, not a violent war. Let me just clarify that. Not anything violent, but continue to spread the news, get the information out, and love on these people. Just because someone wears a burqa doesn't mean you don't love on them. I still think that, you know, we need to show the heart of Christ to all nations, creeds, and races out there. Anyhow, wanted to bring you the latest on that. With that, please hold that button. I wanted to tell you guys also about a brand new tea by the Get the Tea guy. And you can see I already opened mine, but this is amazing. It brings a ton of energy, like awesome. But it's herbal power tea. This one's pomegranate flavored, completely organic with no caffeine, and it promotes energy. You need a little pick me up for the day. This will definitely do it. So get that from getthetea.com. Anyhow, if you like what you heard, hit that subscribe button, share it on all your social media outlets, and give me a big fat thumbs up. Well, I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.